All right, so last day we talked about adding polynomials. So we had brackets, so an expression inside of a bracket, another expression inside of a bracket with a plus sign in between. And I said, hey, if you liked what we did in day 2, you can just keep on doing that. You just go from left to right, and you find your like terms, and you just add them up. Or you can do this vertical method where you take one thing in the bracket, you write that down, you take the other thing in the bracket, you write above it, just make sure you line up the terms properly. Like with like x squared with x squared, x's with x's, numbers with numbers. So that works well for adding, but not for subtracting. We do something different. All right, so on the back side, we're going to talk about subtracting. So, why is subtracting different than adding? Right? When we subtract, we want to subtract all of this bracket, not just one thing. Right? So we're subtracting everything over here. So that makes it a little bit like, so this negative sign belongs to this 4x, and it also belongs to this 1. Right? So we need to show that. Right? And it's kind of hard to do that going horizontally. You can. I'll show you how to do it horizontally. But instead of saying subtract, I'm going to say the word add the opposite. Because adding is easier than subtracting. And I use the word opposite last unit. And I gave you a number like 5 and said, hey, what's the opposite of 5? You guys remember that? Negative 5. And I give you a fraction, 2 over 5, and the opposite of 2 over 5 is negative 2 over 5. And we're going to do the same thing. Instead of saying subtracting, we're going to just say add the opposite. Then we can follow the rules for adding, which is much easier than subtracting. Okay? So, before we do that, based off of that, if I give you the term 4w, what would the opposite of 4w be? Negative 4w. Okay. Terms are easy. Okay, next we're going to an expression. Remember expressions have multiple terms in it. So, for the next one, what would the opposite of that one be? Let's see if one of the kids get it. Okay. Tyson, you don't have this one? Anybody want to take a guess at what the opposite for this be? Sam? Close. So you want the opposite, what would it be? What do you think?
3w minus 5.
3w, yeah, you can say it like that. When you say the opposite, you want to do the opposite of every single term. So we have a term here. This was positive 5. So the opposite of positive 5 is negative 5. Then this term is negative 3w. So the opposite of negative 3w is plus 3w. So you want to swap every single one. Right? And the way Miss Kina said it, we just swap this, right? All right. So next one. Take a guess. We have 3 terms there. Good morning, Alexis. Find the opposite of every single term. All right? So take a guess. I adjust my attendance here. All right. William, give it a go. Huh? Well, whatever. Right? So remember, like the first day was like the important part of identifying the terms. Right? You can't do anything. You can't add terms, you can't subtract terms, you can't spot the terms. Right? So now we have to spot the terms and find the opposite. So, who's got this for me? Sam?
Minus 7x2.
Yeah.
Minus 5x plus 1.
Plus 1, yeah. So we took the first one, it was a positive, it became a negative. We took the second one, it was a positive, it became a negative. Oops, it actually erased. Became a negative. Took the third one, it was a negative, it turned into a positive. Remember, the sign in front belongs to the term afterwards. So this sign belongs to this term, this sign, right? The signs are very important. That's where you guys are going to make your mistakes. Okay, so now we're going to do the vertical method first. So I'm going to say instead of subtracting, we're going to say add the opposite. Because it means the same thing. So if I said 5 minus 3, it's nice and clean, right? In grade 7, something like that may have said 5 plus negative 3. So we're adding the opposite, right? So we're going to do this, it means the same thing. Like we would never do this because this looks more complicated, but when we're doing it in polynomials, it makes it easier. So here, first step is change that minus sign to a plus sign. So remember, this negative belonged to the bracket afterwards. So now this bracket needs to become its opposite. If we change this to a plus, this needs to become its opposite. And so this minus 4x becomes a plus 4x. This minus 1 becomes a plus 1. The front bracket doesn't change, right? Because that minus sign didn't belong to it. So now that we've changed it, it becomes an adding one just like we did on the first page. Right? So we go stack our two polynomials. So I'll write down the first one's negative 2x plus 3. Then I take the second one, I go, okay, x with x, so the 4x goes above the 2x, and I can put the little plus sign there if it's easier, and the 1 goes with the 3, right? And then we just add, like we did before. So 1 plus 3, what number do we get? 4, thank you. And then over here, the next one, we combine those together, 2. And don't forget your x. So 4 and negative 2 makes 2. So 4 minus 2. Right? So that answer is almost 100% right. We're missing something. The plus sign. So remember, every term is separated by a plus or a minus. When we did this, it was a positive 4. So we need the plus 4. That's it. Okay? So next one. All right. Subtracting. Highlight it. I like to highlight the fact. Right? Okay. Highlight it. Okay, I'm going to make a change. Because sometimes students forget to make the change. Right? Okay. I'm going to make it into a plus because it's easier. Things need to change now. All right. First bracket or second bracket? What changes? Second bracket. The negative belonged to it. Come on, William. All right. We're going to switch the terms. Okay. What does this become?
Negative 2x.
Okay. And that's where most of you guys are going to forget to make changes. Like on the question above, you guys are really good if the number is negative to change it to positive. But if the first term is a positive, students often forget to change it to a negative. All right, so that's kind of a sneaky one, right? It's a common mistake, right? Does it stay the same or this one change? Change, right? That negative outside belonged to everything in the bracket, so everything in the brackets has got to change. Does it stay the same or change? Change, and changes to the opposite, right? Once you've got that, we go on to stack. Careful. The terms are not written in the same order. So you're going to have to rearrange these. Right? X squareds with x squareds, x's with x's, numbers with numbers. And it doesn't matter which one you write first. Last time I wrote the left bracket first. This time I write the right bracket first because it doesn't really matter. So I'll go negative 2x plus 1 minus 2x squared. So just double check if you get the signs right, because that's where you're going to make the mistakes. Right? Right? Then we take this one. Okay, x squared. That's going to go above the x squared. So that one is going to go over here. A number is going to go above the number. The x is going to go above the x. When you're rearranging it, make sure you're taking that sign with it, because it makes a difference if the number is positive or negative. All right? So that's what it should look like. All right? So now, we just go vertically, right? Let's start on this side. It doesn't matter what I do. So if I combine the x's together, what number do I get? Thank you, Addie. -5 and the x. I combine the constants together. Remember, constants, numbers without variables attached. What do we get there? -3. How about the last one? -1. Thank you. Remember, there's an imaginary 1 there. So +1 minus 2 is -1x squared. And you don't need to show that in 1 if you didn't want to. So that answer gets you 100% of the marks. If we want to rearrange it from highest degree to lowest degree, optional step, right? The highest degree is your -1x squared. So I'll just go -x squared. That's a degree 2. Degree 1 is this, 5x. So I'm going to put that next, and the -3 last. Optional. If that's too much, don't worry about it. All right? Okay, I think you guys got this. All right? So before we do this, let's switch over to here. Let's do this one. Instead of going vertically, we're going to do our horizontally. Right? So long as the sign between the two brackets is plus, you can go horizontally. So all we need to do is make that change. You go, oh, this is a minus. You go here, I'm going to change it to a plus. But I can't just change it. If I make that change, it has an effect, right, on the bracket that follows it. Right? So I have this bracket following it. First term, does it change?
Yes.
Positive or negative?
Negative.
Changes to a negative. Good morning. Second term, does it change? Positive or negative? Comes positive. Right? Identify all the terms. Third term, does it change? William, this is you.
Yes.
What does it become? Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. That's it. Right? So now, if you wanted to work horizontally, you could. You start now, since it's a plus sign between the brackets, you go, we have our x squared here, and I look across, I go, oh, there's another x squared there. I write my calculation off to the side. I have a 6 on the first one. I have a -1 on the second one. Right? And 6 minus 1, we have 5. 5x squared. Right? Then we go on to the second term. We go, oh, here's an x. This time I'm going to do a double line. And I look and I try to find another x. Oh, there's another x there. And I take the numbers in front. You go from left to right. I have a -3 on this side, and I have a +3 on the other side. I have a -3 plus 3. What number do we get? 0. So we don't need to show that one. It cancels each other out. Okay. Finally, we have a 4 and a 2. So +4 minus 2. Right? What number does it become? 2. Right? So it equals 2, so that's a +2, so a +2. Okay, so now, over here,
Can you just go back to the answer for a second?
yeah, I got 2 questions sitting here. And I know the title says horizontal methods, right? I'm going to say let's do this any method you prefer. Because the method doesn't matter, they're just a mechanism to get to the answer. So if you like horizontal, do these questions horizontally. If you like vertically, do the questions vertically. Try it on your own. I'm going to put the answers up. All right? So try it with whatever method you want. Because on the test, I'm not gonna say do it horizontally. I can do it vertically. Just do whatever works. Right? So, fine. Right?
Change this to a plus, right?
To Dhaliwal.
Yeah, I'll be right there, Gabe.
To the right, change this. To the opposite.
Yeah. Every yeah.
So if it's the same thing,
Yeah.
this is vertical. So like the same steps to get.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you're not done yet. Oh, good. Yeah, there we go. You were not here. So, okay. So, the difference, you were here last day, right? So the difference between this day and last day is that it's minus 5.
Oh, no, we're just doing the thing.
Minus
Yes,
five.
we don't need to.
So that changes.
How is that 5?
Like this? What does that?
How is it negative 5? Because negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5.
Negative? It becomes
Because you're going this way, but not going
this
going this way.
this negative belongs to this bracket.
Yeah, but where's
Every
negative 3? Negative 3?
Then you
Here.
do.
That's negative 3. Yeah, it's negative 3.
Yeah. Then you just do everything we did.
Or that's not
Minus.
Where's the minus? So it's negative 3 right
I'll be
there.
right there. So you
And then this
swap
is negative
those, you stack them up.
Yes, so it's
That
plus
looks
2,
good.
plus negative 2.
No,
Swap those.
it's negative 2 minus 3.
Yeah, that's looking good.
Do you want these ones or no?
Right here.
I say so. Try these ones.
It
Any
makes
of them you
sense.
want.
Okay.
Right?
Negative 3 is basically just negative 2 minus 3.
Right.
How was the first one?
If you, I'll come around. I actually don't even have the answers memorized. Right,
Are those the
I
answers?
should have it memorized. I'm just gonna put them up on the board.
But
Where
and
you
then
have
this
it?
one is
I'll
1.
have it.
This one's 1.
Yeah.
Because I have one.
Yes.
Look at all the X's and numbers everywhere.
Wait.
Easy. Use the word easy.
Was those the answers?
No. Those are the answers. I'm gonna put them up right now. Hold on.
No, but.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I did.
It's 3x minus 3.
Okay, so I didn't do like half an hour.
Yes, it is. Because remember, so you gotta change this to positive.
Yeah, I did.
And then
Change
so this
that
is
to
positive,
positive,
this
yeah.
is negative.
Oh.
Yeah.
So x 1 plus 2 is 3.
One? Yeah, yeah.
And then negative 2 minus 2 is
Dhaliwal.
negative 5.
Just give me a second here, Gabe.
Okay. Negative 2 minus 3?
Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't matter like.
Oh, okay.